Hey guys, what's up? My name is Arbiet, and today I'll be talking to you guys about E3. And now that the dust has settled, E3 is officially over. Let's talk a little bit about what I saw. And I'm just like I'm a casual viewer of E3. I don't actively search for every single detail on every single game at E3, but just from watching YouTube videos and the internet, paying attention to what people say, I'll tell you guys my thoughts about what happened at the conference. And in this video, we'll see who was the winner of E3 this year, 2013. I'll talk about the consoles first, the PS4 versus the Xbox One. And then I'll discuss some games I saw, because there was a lot of games and it looks really great. So let's get started. So for the list I'll be using, it comes from IGN, and so the list of games I'll be talking about. I'll link you guys to the articles if you really want to see it. It also includes some things about the Wii U, but I won't be talking about that. We'll be discussing mostly the PS4 and the Xbox One. First up is price. The PS4 will retail at $400, while the Xbox One will be retailing at $500. And I assume that's because Xbox One will be coming with Kinect, and it's required to have Kinect to use it, so that's probably what the extra $100 difference means. Honestly, if you're not rich or you don't have the money to spend, you probably were gonna go with the cheaper console, because that's a lot of money. But it also, you have to think about, it's probably they say these consoles will last for the next decade, so you really think about that's pretty even there. However, initially it will make or break the deal for some people, especially younger gamers who, they might depend on getting it as a Christmas gift from their family. That's a big deal. Moving on, storage for the two consoles. They're both stated at 500 gigabyte hard drives. The PS4 will be able to you will be able to upgrade it yourself, while the Xbox won't. The Xbox will, however, the external storage will be using USBs. For the PlayStation 4, that has not been announced yet. Both consoles will have cloud storage, which is good. And here's where the major sticking point is for the Xbox so far, is that it requires you to install the game onto the hard drive, which might not be good or might be bad. We don't really know yet. Basically, it's gonna take up space in your hard drive for one, but it may speed up some things in the game, like loading times or whatnot. It also requires you to be connected to the internet every 24 hours, so once a day. The Xbox One will require you to connect to the internet, which is really it's really weird, because we don't know what kind of connection this is. Is it going to be like a little update kind of thing? And people just don't want to go through that hassle. So I have a really bad internet. I can sympathize with people who don't have good internet, because you don't really want to mess with downloading things that are going to take you way longer than someone who has like fiber optic cables. It's something you don't want to deal with, and that might make it or break it. The next big thing is used games. The PlayStation 4. If you haven't seen the funny video by Sony, at the announcement at the press conference either, they basically just said, we're not messing with used games. You're going to be able to do it however you've been doing it for the last decade. Basically, if you have a friend, they want to play a game, just give them the disc. No big deal. For Xbox, it's a little more complicated. Like I said, you have to install the game onto the hard drive. And basically, you're going to have to pay a fee, possibly, if you want to play used games. Or you might not be able to play used games at all. We don't really know. It's really confusing right now. And that's one thing that I don't think is a good thing that Microsoft is doing. They should just come out and say what exactly you have to do, because confusion will make people not want to buy the product, just because, you don't want to mess with it, like I said. Keep it simple. Keep it something that everyone's familiar with, and, don't have to worry about it. And next up, backwards compatibility. None of the consoles will have backwards compatibility, so you might want to keep your old console. Like I said, if you're upgrading, you might want to, if you're going to sell your old console, you might want to go for the cheaper one. You don't know. See, this is where pricing comes into a big play for some people and the majority of gamers. Next cool thing I think is good. The PS4 will have a party chat like system. Basically, you can talk with people across any game, which I think they should have had it in the PlayStation 3. I couldn't believe when I found out PlayStation 3 doesn't even have that feature, because it's so vital. Because you might not always want to play the same game with a friend, but you just want to talk with them, and I didn't know PS3 had that. That's something I'm really glad the Xbox 360 has. next big thing, well, not really big, but PlayStation 4 will have a subscription fee now for multiplayer stuff. This won't really affect single player games as much, but you know, a lot of people buy game, like a lot of the hardcore gamers are playing multiplayer games such as Call of Duty, Battlefield. There's a lot of new upcoming games too, like Destiny, which sounds great. You're gonna have to pay you have to buy PlayStation Plus to get these online features, kind of like Xbox Live Gold, which isn't really a big deal because honestly, if both consoles are gonna require you to have it, you're gonna it doesn't really matter then. You're gonna be required to buy either way. And PlayStation Plus, what they present at the conference, it sounded a lot better to me. Like what you're getting. You're getting a lot of free games and a lot of cool things that they didn't have before, so it might be worth it. Both consoles will support USB 3.0 drives, or ports, I mean. So that'd be a good thing. You know, new technology is always good. They will both support live streaming, which is definitely a good thing. And one little bitty thing, trophies and achievement points will be ported to the next gen console. So basically, if you have a bajillion gamer score or like 1,000 trophies, that will be carried on. Doesn't really matter to a lot of people, but just a little thing. And the last, you know, kind of make it or break it thing is region locked. A lot of people, or some people, want to buy foreign games such as a Japanese game. Basically, the PS4 is not region locked, which means that you'll be able to buy a Japanese game and play it on your English or US bought PlayStation 4. The Xbox One will be region locked, so if you buy an Xbox One in the US, you probably won't be able to play a Japanese game on it, which not really a big deal for a lot of people. That's not really an issue, but it's just a little something that might come into play eventually. You don't really know. That's basically it for the consoles. Like I said, I just talked about some of the make it or break it points. Not really hardware. Both consoles are pretty equal hardware wise, so if you want to look at the list, I'll link in the description like I said. Let's move on to games now. Ooh, the best part. Like I said before, these games, the list of games that were at E3, I will link the description, an article by IGN of all the games that were there. I'm just gonna be talking about some of the main ones that were discussed a lot, mainly the ones that were shown at the press conferences for Sony and Microsoft, and just games that have been getting a lot of hype and a lot of people are talking about them. There's a lot of games here, so bear with me. We're going there. Of course, you've heard about Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag, which sounds really awesome. There's going to be Battlefield 4, which looked pretty damn cool. Call of Duty Ghost, there's always a Call of Duty game. Dead Rising 3, which is an Xbox One exclusive, and it looked really good. Like there were probably like 1,000 zombies on the screen at one time. It was a pretty nuts thing. Next up is Destiny, which is personally I am most excited for that game, and it's coming 2014, but I want to play that game forever basically. And Bungie, if you don't know, Destiny is made by Bungie, the creators of Halo. And if you didn't know, Halo 4 was not made by Bungie. It was made by 343 because Bungie is now independent. They are not a part of Microsoft, and so they had to leave Halo behind because Halo is a Microsoft IP, I guess you could say. Speaking of that, Halo 5 was announced. Well, it wasn't announced as Halo 5, but it's going to be a Halo game. We saw Master Chief in a trailer. Not really sure what it's called yet. If they're going to, they may do something different. We don't know. There's going to be a Halo game, though. Next up is Drive Club. I think that was for the PS4, I want to say. It looked really cool. I'm not really a driving game person, but I like cool games. It looked really awesome. The Elder Scrolls Online was announced to come to the consoles, which I wasn't expecting. I thought that was just going to be a PC game, but it's coming to the PS4 and Xbox One, so that's pretty cool. Infamous Second Son was shown at the PS4 press conference. It looked really cool. Killer Instinct. There's going to be Killzone, Shadowfall. Probably one of the biggest things talked about, Kingdom Hearts 3. There was no date announced for it, I believe. It was just, they just showed it. It will be coming to PS4 and Xbox One, so don't have to worry about that. I think it's been like 10 years since Kingdom Hearts 2 or something like that. Something ridiculous. I remember playing Kingdom Hearts 2 on the PS2, and that was a long time ago. Either way, it's coming sometime, and basically they basically just said that they're working on it. Another cool PS4 game I saw was Knacked, new IP. It was definitely a pretty cool game. It's going to be Metal Gear Solid 5: The Phantom Pain, a new Mirror's Edge game. It was not announced as Mirror's Edge 2. I think it's going to be an origin story, so a prequel to the original Mirror's Edge. That's really cool. Parkour for the win. Plants vs Zombies 2 is going to be coming out soon, and Garden Warfare, which is like a shooter. I'm not really sure of the details of them now. That looked pretty interesting. So 2 games for Plants vs Zombies. The new Pokemon games, Pokemon X and Y, will be coming out later this year for the 3DS. Quantum Break, which looked like a really cool game. At the Microsoft conference, they showed Rise, Sons of Rome, which just looked amazing. The graphics on there were pretty damn awesome. Not really sure about the gameplay, but it looked really cool. It showed off some of the things that the new consoles will be able to do graphic-wise. Saints Row 4, I think, is coming out this year. Just a lot of fun things. Speaking of Saints Row, Grand Theft Auto 5 was not at E3, but it is coming out later this year. I don't think Grand Theft Auto 5 is coming out to the new consoles. It may be ported, but I don't think it has been stated yet. The next game is Battlefront 3, well, Star Wars Battlefront 3. If you played Battlefront 2, that was a really fun game. Dang, that is a really old game as well. And basically, it was announced that DICE, the makers of Battlefield, are working on it. And it probably won't come out for another year or 2, but that's just a really cool thing that DICE is going to be working on Battlefront 3. That's really awesome. Next, another game I think was on the Microsoft press conference was Sunset Overdrive, which looked really cool. A big thing for Nintendo was Smash Brothers, the new Smash Brothers for the 3DS and the Wii U. I'm really excited for that. They announced some characters. They announced Mega Man. Basically, that's all you need to say. I'll buy the damn game. I have a 3DS. I'm looking forward to that. Another game I saw which was really cool was The Crew, and The Crew is, I just learned about it recently. It was an MMO driving game, so I don't really know how that works, but you're gonna be able to drive across the entire US. Someone said it takes like 2 hours to drive across country, which is pretty cool. Just this idea of how big these worlds are gonna be for the next console. Another game that I think is out right now, but still was talked about a lot at E3 was The Last of Us. I think that's out on the PlayStation 3 right now. I really want to play that game, but I don't have a PS3. I'm just gonna have to watch someone play it. It looked really cool. A cool game shown was The Order 1886. I think that was at the PS4 press conference. It looked really cool. Not much details about that yet. And the next game was pretty popular with a lot of people. Titanfall. Titanfall is a kind of a futuristic mech and army FPS shooter. I just said shooter twice, I guess. First-person shooter. It's made by Respawn Entertainment, which are comprised of the head guys of Infinity Ward, basically the ones who worked on Call of Duty 4 and Modern Warfare 2 before they were kicked out by Activision or some kind of big deal happened. So you can expect that to have some really awesome gameplay. It looked really fun. Another game was The Division, which looked like another MMO kind of game. It looked really interesting, futuristic, apocalyptic world. Very interesting. Another game I saw was The Transistor, which is talked about a lot because it's made by Supergiant Games, I think. Supergiant, they're the creators of Bastion. If you ever played Bastion, it was an indie game on Xbox Live Arcade. I believe it's also on the iOS. So go buy that. It's a really fun game. It's really good. I can't wait for that next game. Another game that was announced was Trials Fusion and Trials Frontier. So the Trials series is making a comeback again with another game. Fusion looked really cool. The trailer was pretty funny. And they also announced Frontier, which will be I believe a handheld version of Trials on the iOS. I don't know on the Android too. Probably both. And the last thing on my list was Watch Dogs, which I'm really excited for that game. That game looks really awesome. It's made by the guys who make it's made by Ubisoft, so the guys who make Assassin's Creed. It definitely had a lot of elements from Assassin's Creed, except it was really awesome, like a lot of hacking, futuristic kind of things. It looked a lot of fun. And basically, that's pretty much my whole list right there. Whew, so that's a lot of things I talked about for E3. Like I said, that wasn't the full list of games at E3. I will link you to an article by IGN of all the games. You can go check them out. But that was just some of the main games that were talked about. And you notice that was a lot of games. And that's just how much new games and new IPs are coming out for the next consoles, that there's so many games. There's something for everyone. If you want sci-fi, you want a shooter, FPS, you want fantasy. Oh my god, there's a lot of games, and it was just awesome. And now I guess you guys want to know my opinion on who won E3. Well, the general consensus on the internet is definitely by a landfall, by a lot of people who just watch E3, who saw the conferences, by a landfall. Oh, I'm sorry, I hit my mic there. But it was generally agreed that Sony won E3. And as much as I want to agree on that, we don't really know too much about Microsoft and what they're going to do to respond to what has happened at E3, because basically Sony destroyed Microsoft in their press conference, and it shows. I mean, the pre-orders for the PS4 are definitely higher than the Xbox One right now. Personally, I would buy the PS4, but I am going to wait a little while and see what each console has, their pros and cons. Because honestly, I can't see Microsoft not changing something in response to what has happened at E3. So you can't judge a book by its cover. But one thing I will say, personally, I believe who won E3. I believe it was the gamers, and I say this because if you're a gamer, if you're someone who pays attention to E3, who likes video games, you play it all the time, this was an awesome E3. It was amazing. There was so much games announced. The new consoles are coming. Next generation technology is on the way. It's a good time to be a gamer, what I'm saying. There was so much things that you should be excited for. And no matter what kind of games you play, Nintendo, you play on the Xbox 360 or the PS3, the next generation of games are really awesome, and it's really good for the gaming industry. As someone who I want to get into the gaming industry eventually, it's really awesome. Like, it's really good to see what kind of technology is coming to the future and what kind of games we'll be able to get to play. I mean, if you saw some of the demos, it was amazing. Some of the graphics shown, and just a lot of the different games. There's so much games. You saw that list? That was like a fourth of just the list of games that were announced at E3, and it's just crazy. It's a good year for video games in general. Next year, we don't know what will happen. Will the PS4 overtake the Xbox One? I don't know, but definitely you should be excited no matter what system you're gonna buy, and no matter what games you're gonna play. It's looking really good. Like, I'm super excited for the next generation of consoles. I was not around for the PS3 and Xbox 360 console war at the beginning. I'm around for this one now, and I'm just super excited. It's super great to see all these new games, all these new IPs, not just the standard sequels. And I'm excited to see where it takes us. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed. This was a long video, but there's so much to talk about and cover on E3 this year. My name is Arbiet. Subscribe to Gaming for EXP. If you guys really enjoyed this, I'll be definitely coming out with more videos, probably talking about video games, and I hope you guys enjoyed. This is a long video. My voice is tired. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys later.